just saw it with Miami Dolphins. The pressure, he's in trouble. Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it! You have got to be kidding me. Jaelan Phillips, the Dolphins touchdown. Throwing deep upfield on the near side, man open, touchdown. Looking deep, he's got it there. Touchdown! The run from Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown! He's going deep. It's not over the touchdown again. Touchdown! David, tell me what you want to do. Tagovailoa is running. They go for it. Fire to the end zone. Touchdown! Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. One, two, three. Let's go!
All right, huddle up, huddle up. We're going to crank these engines up on one. All right? Wait, 80. Wait, set. Drivers, start your engines!
This is the Finish Line.
I coached some great offensive linemen in the past. Larry Little, Dwight Stevenson, Jim Langer, all Hall of Famers, and Richmond Webb belongs to that same group.
Here are your hosts, legendary Miami Dolphins left tackle Richmond Webb, Reason, and Mr. BallGame.
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another episode of the Finish Line. Shout out to Don, member for 24 months of the channel, 2-year membership. And he says, smash that like button. Appreciate you, Don, as I am joined tonight by the legendary Richmond Webb and Mr. BallGame. Richmond was at the Texans and Dolphins joint practice today, so we'll get his thoughts on that later on. Gentlemen, hey man, we are now a few weeks away. We're about 3.5 weeks away from some meaningful football. We got this to get through, then we got the Jaguars next week to get through, and then we are home free. How are y'all feeling? Richmond, how are you feeling after being at practice today?
Man, I feel good. You know, it was like you said, we'll get into it later, but it was a couple of instances, and I watched our offense against the Texans defense, and you know, it was a couple of times where they hit a couple of our players, you know, took them to the ground, whatever, or hit them where they fell, and then what I liked about it was that, you know, we matched their intensity. And matter of fact, I was over there talking with Nat Moore and Dan Marino, and you know, we old school, so I'm like, hey, if we're gonna hit, you know, hey, call it how it is. If we're gonna get after, let's just go and get after. It's amazing how even though you retired, some certain stuff just trigger you, and you be like, hey, if this what it is, let's just go and make it happen. But I like the way practice went. There was a couple things they need to clean up, but it's practice, this and that. But just the energy of how they move between each drills, this and that. I like the tempo. I think Coach McDaniel came in and did a real good job, and I just like the energy, everything of it. So I had a real good time practicing. Matter of fact, I'm going back tomorrow, so it was good.
Yeah, feeling so good, so nice. Got to do it twice, huh?
Got to do it twice. Second time around, Mr. BallGame. What you know about that second time, Mr. Deuce?
Just for context, no BallGame is not at a Home Depot looking over his shoulder. He's watching Madden. He's looking at Madden.
Put you on blast. He put you on blast, bro. Hold up, man.
I see. Hey man, it's as always, it's good to be here. Just closer we get, seems like the crazier people get out here with all these different takes about what's going on with the team and all that other stuff. So, our job is to preach the truth, let people know exactly what's what. You can't cure crazy, so it is what it is.
Yeah, you can't fix stupid.
That part.
Because I'll just come out and say it. These people out here fear mongering again, like they did in last camp when Tua ended up in the MVP combo. They're at it again, and they're fear mongering, and they're trying to blanket Tua when he tries to look off a defender, keep his eyes locked and hole shot. They're trying to say that means he doesn't go through his progressions process or read a defense, when here's the fact of the matter. You've read and processed the defense if you realize that if I move that defender off his spot a little to the left or a little to the right, depending on where the leverage is, and that opens that hole either to the left or the right, depending on how you move him, you've read and processed the defense. You see where the hole is. You just know you have to use your eyes to manipulate. That's a level of reading a defense and processing. So I don't know what these people are trying to get through, because like I said on Twitter today, Patrick Mahomes literally makes highlight reels out of this. But do you think every single time he tries it in practice or every time he's tried it in a game, it's worked? Do you think Tua is the only quarterback that's ever existed or exists in the NFL today that does that? Burrow does that. What are we talking about? Like, these people are you can just tell these people have never evaluated the nuances of the position or football at any kind of level. And it all comes down to ego and these people not wanting to admit they're the furthest from the smartest in the room, when the fact of the matter is your bad takes just enhance the fact that you're not the smartest in the room. They don't help your cause. So I don't understand what we're out here, what we're saying, and what we're doing. All right?
Hey, Reason, just to kind of build on that point, and I was thinking about it when you said that, but I saw the interview where the reporter asked Tua about the interceptions, right? And for me to be that open and explain to the reporters what you're actually thinking, I don't know if I would have did that, but to what my point was, after he threw that interception that you're talking about, I believe the guy that caught it was Chris Harris. So maybe they played together
Christian
at
Harris,
Bama.
yeah, they did.
And he said he went over to him and asked him, and he said, "Man, like we played y'all last year.
You're cooking me off
us.
that. Yeah.
You killed us." And he said, I had to, he said he wanted to go, but he said, "Man, I just got to trust." So I stayed there.
I had to trust my drop. That's what he said. I had to trust my drop.
And to build on that point, he helped.
But look
Tua,
what you said, Richmond. His instinct told him at first. He actually said to Tua, "I had to go against my instinct and trust what the coaches are telling me in the drop." And continue.
But the thing I was saying is, he helped Tua by letting him know that, and Tua said, "Okay, so then I need to take that into consideration that they may trust it." You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's how you get better. That's how you
practice, Richmond.
Yeah. Well,
where does can I ask you, Richmond? Where does the old cliche saying come from? Practice makes perfect, not game reps make perfect. Why is it not game reps make perfect? It's practice makes perfect. You know why? Because you can test defenders. You can try holes. You can try throws you wouldn't throw normally. Look at what Nick Hicks came out here and was discussing.
Yeah.
Listen, we haven't seen it a lot in camp, right? Check this out. I'm going to hit y'all with some facts here if y'all have been following the channel.
Yeah.
What Nick Hicks, with my interview with him, it's done over 13,000 views, okay? When you watch that, I even time-stamped, and you can go look at it. What did he say, Richmond? That he walked up to the field and he saw Jalen, Tyreek, and Tua, and they were working on these off-motion routes where they were motioning across the field. Then they were running digs, and he was throwing outside the numbers. And they were trying all these things off motion that were getting outside the numbers. You know what they were? They were middle of the field beaters. That's what they were practicing, and they were doing them off these crazy motions, and they were doing these crazy routes, angle routes, and deep digs off these motions. And Tua was starting them, making the throws. But why haven't we seen them in practice? Why did the fans not see it in practice? And why haven't we seen it in the preseason game?
It ain't time to see it now.
Exactly, brother.
You don't show your hand. Exactly. It ain't time to show the hand.
Ball game. I know you and Richmond remember this. Remember when we were leading up to training camp? Did I not say they're getting all, dude, like 3 days into camp, fans were at camp and they got all the dates out of the way other than joint practices. So now every training camp is either in the bubble or outside, but we've got to rely on reporters, and that embargo's back in place where reporters can't tell you where people are at unless other fans are there. So for joint practices, they could technically tell you where the lineup, but look, they're not allowed to live tweet. They all tweet it out. We're not allowed to live tweet like we are at practices where you're at today. Like that's what people don't realize, man. They're trying to go back to all this so they can start hiding stuff. And I kept telling all y'all, those first couple weeks when all those fans are at camp, that's when they're getting the installs and the vanilla stuff. That's when they're getting that stuff in there, bro. Now when all of y'all are out there and they don't got to worry about cameras coming out and films coming out, that's when you start seeing stuff, and everything's contextual. I saw someone say, they made a great point. Haven't you noticed the majority of Tua's interceptions have been all purely situational? Whether it's been a 2-minute drill or the 1-minute drill or inside the 10 in a red zone, it's all been, you've either been pressed by time or the score to make the throws. It hasn't been flow of the game. All right, start from your 20 and drive it and just flow with the game. It hasn't been like that. They've been all situational and circumstantial. But that's part of practice too. People don't realize that. In the red zone, I can try holes when it's the most condensed part of the field inside the 10. I can try holes that I couldn't try in normal games and see if I can hit them. That's part of freaking practice. And these people don't even comprehend that. It's crazy. It's unbelievable. That people, I don't know.
Well, it's when people put information out there.
They actually experienced it.
I know.
Yeah.
Too busy cleaning out their flutes. It's unbelievable, bro. I'm watching this and I'm like, stop listening to these people who don't know what they're talking about, man. Because all they're trying to do is stir it all up, get y'all fed into the negativity, and get y'all questioning, because that's the only way they can get clicks. Because that's what they've resorted to. Because they're not smart enough to properly educate and inform all y'all. So they got to be fear mongers. It's ridiculous. Russell, Tua makes reads so fast people can't see it. Brother, his coaching staff talks about this. The guy has one of the quickest release times in the NFL. You think every throw is the first read? Come on, bro. You think he would have been in the MVP? Look at what he did against Detroit. That Gesicki throw alone in the back of the end zone. Gesicki was like the fourth read on that play. And he came back to him. So stop listening to these people who don't know. Healthy Tua's MVP combo and the best quarterback in the division. I agree, man. But let's talk about this. Richmond, what were your observations from today? Because Tua threw a bunch of touchdowns too. Amongst all the nonsense, Tua threw a bunch of touchdowns too. And other than the interceptions, from what I was told privately, Richmond, the offense looked actually good besides the touchdowns. Now, I know you're talking about the physicality. I know Wilson Jr. got into a scuffle when he was thrown down, right?
Right.
But what were your takeaways today? And we'll get in a little deeper because I want to hear what you thought about the offensive line today too.
Yeah, I noticed, was it Keon Smith? He was working at right tackle. He didn't look bad. Austin Jackson actually looked bad. Mm-hmm. I didn't get a chance. Right tackle, I'm sorry. Teron Armstead was out there, but I don't think he took many team
11.
reps.
Yeah,
I didn't see him do too much of that.
They had Lamb there. I'm guessing they had Lamb there, right?
Lamb was there.
Yeah.
I actually talked to Robert Hunt and after practices and that. So
I think it's a travesty he doesn't have an extension, Richmond. I mean, what are they doing? Like,
they're gonna have to take care of him. But I think what I like is, and when I was watching the team reps and this and that, like Tua is a starting quarterback, but he was going with whoever the personnel was. So it wasn't like if Tyreek was in there, he working with everybody. Say roll him in like that, White and Skylar. They rotate the quarterbacks, but even White and Skylar, the thing I did like was it seemed like you're getting a grasp on offense where it doesn't take them long to go through their progressions and get the ball out. So that was impressive. A couple of nice runs by was it Wilson? I think had one. Simon Ackman had one.
How'd A-Chain look?
A-Chain look good. Man, we got some speed, and some of the running backs, they're a little taller than what, it's the first time I really been, because I was just right there on the sideline. I could see them. They were a little taller and bigger than what I thought. But I was impressed with practice. So I thought the way we executed and moved the ball and stuff like that, and even on that last, I think it's a 2-minute drill, Tua threw that pick six or whatever. And even in his interview, he said, "Man, I should just threw it away." It's like, but other than that, I thought we had a real good day. But like you say, it's practice. That's the time. It's just like if I was in practice and you working against somebody, sometimes that's the time to work on a quick set. You know what I'm saying? Jump a guy, see if you can jump him in this, because if you just keep doing the same thing, they'll figure it out. You got to change it up every now and then, and this is the time to work on it. So
Did you happen to see what was happening at left guard?
I didn't. I'm gonna look at left guard tomorrow. I did not. I didn't notice Eichenberg in there, but he had to be in there. But
I didn't notice him. That might be a good thing.
Well, I'm just, and I didn't get a chance. I was talking to Dan and Nat Moore and Mark Clayton, who's all talking, and then I noticed it was one-on-one pass rush. But I'm gonna go see that tomorrow because I missed it today. I was running my mouth.
I've got some of the reps today. On film.
Okay.
From the one-on-ones. All right, let's get into this. We're going to get into deeper here. I got some highlights. I got like 5 minutes of highlights. We'll go into recaps, and we'll get into deeper into training camp. But before I do, people haven't had a chance to hear it from me, and let's talk about this. But before we do, guys, just a reminder, over 330 of you in the room, smash that like button, subscribe if you're new. Don't just listen to me. Tune in Friday, 5 p.m. I will have former NFL quarterback JT O'Sullivan, who also runs a quarterback school. He'll be on, and we'll be discussing the quarterback room for the Miami Dolphins, including a lot of Tua stuff. So we're going to have some fun. Be sure to check that out. And then tomorrow I'll be live at about 5 with Neil Driscoll for Fin Too Deep as well. But let's talk about Dalvin Cook. People haven't had a chance to hear our take on Dalvin Cook. They haven't heard me. Why was I going to go live when the Jets signed Dalvin Cook? He's not a Dolphin. Listen, I got a Patreon episode that'll be coming tonight where I'm going to drop a lot of the stuff I knew about the Dalvin Cook situation and why I felt the way I did about Dalvin, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to be a juicy Patreon video. Y'all are going to want to tune into tonight. If you're patreon.com/Finside the NFL. But let's talk about Dalvin Cook for a second here, guys. All right. So he took the Jets, $8.6 million. If people had been following my reporting, I was right the whole time, because then the numbers started coming out. Even Marcel, that's about double what the Dolphins offered. My initial report was they offered $4 million. My initial report was they lowballed him. It wasn't a good situation. And now we're learning, they doubled. But not only that, the Jets were initially at $5 million. Then they actually came up to about $8.6 million. So they even went up on their own money too. And this is one thing I said, if people remember what I said, he doesn't want to go to New York, but if he gets offered a contract, that's too good of an offer that he can't refuse on some Godfather stuff, what do you think he's going to do? Obviously, he's going to take the bag. Anyone's going to do that, and that's ended up what happened. Now, your guys' thoughts on the Dalvin Cook situation? I wanted him because I thought him and A-Chain and then Mostert and Wilson behind them gave us the best room in the NFL. I also thought he could have extended the shelf life of Mostert and Wilson. Plus, 2 years of development under Cook for A-Chain sounded ideal to me. And then year 3 and year 4 of his contract, the room is yours, my friend. So that's where I was standing on it. I'm still in the position of go get a Kareem Hunt, go get a Leonard Fournette, because if we're standing here in December, boys, and Salvin Ahmed and Devin A-Chain are the only healthy running backs we got to lean on, not just me, a lot of people in this community are going to be pissed, and they're going to point back to this, that you didn't have to pay $10 million for a top 10 running back in the NFL, and they're going to point to that a moment of clarity, because remember, it's up to $8.6 million. The base is rumored to be about 6.7. Hasn't come out yet. So we'll start with you, BallGame. Your thoughts, because you're the FSU fan. Your thoughts on this situation, how it played out, and Dalvin Cook with the Jets right now? Because BallGame, I think this is the best move the Jets have made since Rodgers became their quarterback.
To be honest with you, I'm just glad it's over
Yeah, I
because
agree.
now at this point everybody can focus up. I agree 100% that we need to shore up the room, possibly a little more, but I do believe that they have the utmost confidence in the guys that they have in the room. And to some degree, like Pacheco last year with the Kansas City Chiefs proved that as a youngster, if you got everything else around you pretty good, the running game can be um, he can be successful. And I think A-Chain is actually a lot more talented than Pacheco. So to go out and grab a guy that's going to take away reps from his ability to be on the field and then get acclimated a lot faster, I'm not necessarily on board with that too. I think that when they got A-Chain, they got him with the concept in mind of being able to expand this passing offense and at the same time have a guy who's tough and is willing to run between the tackles, and he gives you a bit of everything. His speed is all world, so that in itself creates a whole different bunch of mismatches that you just can't artificially manufacture. And the running back room in itself is pretty fast. So a bruiser we might need. Yep, I do agree. I've been pounding the table for going out and just going to get Fournette. You know what I'm saying? Somebody like him or the Kareem Hunt, that would be nice as well. But I said all along, in my opinion, Dalvin was a luxury. Him going to the Jets, them paying him what they paying him, it's all about his cash out at this point. He know he on the back end of his career, and you know what I'm saying? I'm not mad at him for going to get his dollars, but at the same time, that tells me that maybe the Jets really aren't 100% comfortable with where Brees is at as well. So Dalvin's coming off for injury. Don't know exactly how much he has left in the tank, but he'll be tested. Like I said, I'm never about stopping nobody from getting their money, but at the same time, if the money don't make sense for us, then bid you farewell. Wish you all the luck, all the best of luck, except when you're playing us. And
it was $7 million
with
with
get out your
1.6.
ass because it is what it is.
I just saw the numbers, BallGame. It was $7 million base with 1.6 in incentives.
Yeah, well, good. Good on the Jets. They got a running back at this point. They don't have to worry about Brees. Maybe they just let Brees ride out and just offer what he can offer whenever he's fully healthy. But they still got question marks too. Dalvin, nobody, he can pass the physical, but that don't mean he's still 100% healthy, because I don't believe at this juncture, when you look at running backs or you look at players in general that have been in the league, as long as he's been in the league, ain't nobody truly 100%. So at any time, something could go wrong with him just as well. And just know, you've been a hometown kid. Unfortunately, we're gonna get after your ass when the time comes. So it is what it is. He had an opportunity to be here. He chose to go and chase the money. Like I said, it is what it is, man. At this point, I'm glad it's over, so they can move on to bigger and better things and figure out how they're going to sign the guys that really need to be here now. So,
well, another thing I did say, BallGame, we're going to find out what means more, the bag or playing at home. And, but I get it,
Yeah, we figured that out quick.
I think if you do the taxes, BallGame, if they would have came up to $6 million, he would be a Dolphin right now. But it's because it's $4 million. He would have been taking less than Zeke. I wasn't going to do that. It wasn't going to, and I don't think he's going to take less than Miles. Miles Sanders was the highest paid free agent. I don't think he's going to take less than Miles Sanders either, right? What are your thoughts, Richmond, on Dalvin? Because, I keep seeing, 4.9 carries, 4.7 yards per carry for Wilson and Mostert. And then I think about, am I the only one who remembers the Buffalo game where Wilson had 10 carries for 25 yards and Mostert wasn't even healthy enough to suit up? Am I the one who remembered that against Buffalo in December was really, and they were okay against the Jets in that winter get in, but other than those two games in December and January, there was nothing to write home about from our running backs. So where are you at with all this? Because listen, people are confusing me, Richmond, with wanting an insurance policy with being locked in on Dalvin Cook.
Yeah. Hats off to him. I'm not mad at him. I think he tried everything possible to become a Dolphin, but he just wanted the money up, and we stuck to our offer, and we wasn't budging. And I think they looked at it and said, "No, we got what we need." Like BallGame say, it's a luxury. And then when you just went over the numbers, I thought that was a while ago, but I remember you said 10 million was the number. because he's getting like $2 million from Minnesota, and you said he wanted to be somewhere around. So
he doesn't get that money now. He doesn't get the $2 million from Minnesota.
Oh, he doesn't get it. Okay, I thought he got that.
That was if he did not get signed by a team and he just sat out this year.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, the 8.6, like you said, that's double what the Dolphins will possibly offer. So I do truly believe he wanted to be here, but when we stuck to our offer and didn't budge, it's just you got to make a business decision. And he said, if I got to play anyway, he went there and hey, he said maybe play here a year or two and then reevaluate it. But I'm not mad at it. I am glad it's over because now we can move on. But I do agree that we need to sign, another guy for the playoffs when just in case you got to line up and play a little physical football, you can get that guy that can get you 3 or 4 yards. It might be tough yards, but it wears on the defense, and that's what keeps the drive going and keeps your defense fresh. And at the same time, it helps you advance to the next game to continue to play deep into the playoffs or even get to the Super Bowl. So, but now we can kind of move off of that. And I think the first day it was a little shock, when the news first came out and where he went to the Jets and stuff like that. But I think the fan base and stuff is kind of settling back down and say, okay, we're going to be all right. But I do agree, December, January, we need a change up running back. And I think we can get one at a good price, at a value price that will help complement the running back room. So that's where I'm at right now.
So I want to play this little portion here before we get into practice recap. This was McDaniel today because I went live a couple of days ago and I said, and I pondered the question, is Christian Wilkins quietly holding out or in? And, people are, oh, you're spreading BS reason, blah, 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 blah. Well, was I, or was I ahead of the curve and right once again? So let's play this and let's hear what McDaniel had to say when he was asked about it. All right. Because, ding, 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 ding. All right. I don't know what else to say except,
man, I'm tired of being right.
All right. Let's play.
You're not tired of being right. Stop that, man. Don't do that now. Cut that
out. Christian's such a good player, such an important person in the locker room, who has made it clear that he feels that his play is deserving of a contract. We would agree as the Miami Dolphins organizations. Henceforth, we are in negotiations, and as a result, he's hasn't been participating in the team, and when he next participates, that'll be up to him.
So there you go. Confirmed that Christian Wilkins is holding in, or as the title will say, holding out, because not a lot of fans know what holding in means. So I want to get your guys' thoughts from two different perspectives. First, Richmond, former player. I mean, Christian Wilkins sitting here, he's performed before the pads came on, when the pads came on, and I kind of take it as a warning as, hey, guys, I'm giving you a preview of what I can do in this defense. If you don't pay me, sorry, I'm not playing ball with the franchise tag, even though it's like almost $21 million next year. What are your thoughts and what's your stance on him holding in? Because Xavier Howard basically said, go get your bag, Christian, when he was asked about it today.
Yeah, I think it's a negotiation ploy to whatever you want to call it. I do think the way he's performed, he really had a really good year last year. I think the issue comes in is the number that he wants versus the number that they want to pay. And like you just said, it's other guys that they got to take care of, like Robert Hunt. You just brought that up at the beginning of the show. So it's got to make sense for the Dolphins. And it's got to make sense for him. But I think he may hold out a little bit, but I just can't see him holding out the whole year and let 21 million ride. Even if I had to say, okay, I'll just play it out, and then I just know if it doesn't get done during the season, then I know I'll be a free agent and I can negotiate with whoever. Because if they put the franchise tag back on you, it's just like a 20-25% increase or whatever. I forgot how
it's just under 21 million if they franchise tag him again next year.
Yeah, so I'd be like, I gotta do what I gotta do. But not only showcase if I gotta play, I'm not showcasing for the Dolphins. I'm showcasing for the other 31 NFL teams, saying, hey, if you need an interior defensive guy, I'm your man. I'm one of the best that's gonna be free next year, so come get me. And I think that's the approach you gotta take. It wouldn't surprise me if he held out a game or two, but I just can't see him holding out the whole year, missing $21 million. That's a lot of money to leave on the table. That's just the way I look at it.
What are your thoughts on the situation, BallGame?
Well, I'm always a proponent of guys getting paid, but I think sometimes they can be, and unfortunately, they can be their worst enemies because there are tiers, and there are other guys that are ahead of him in terms of their productivity for the specific stats that actually matter nowadays. It's great that you can get a lot of tackles. It's great that you can be disruptive. But what it really comes down to is, as an interior defensive lineman, can you get sacks? And the guys that have gotten paid are guys that have proven that they can consistently get that part of the stat game down pat. And they have, they do it with a bunch of consistency, and he deserves money. I just don't know if for me, if he's listening, if he ever watching this, I ain't trying to tell you not to take your money, boss. But at the same time, there's still areas of your game that need to be improved. And to be considered one of the top guys at the position, you got to show up and show out regardless of the circumstances handling around. And the first thing you do is you show up, you get paid. You already paid. You get on contract now. Show up, get your work done, and then let the rest of it handle itself. But, you're sitting out, with your lip poked out and all this other stuff and not wanting to participate and all that stuff, that sends a bad message too. And no matter how much they want to love you, they can always think about when they needed you the most. And if you're not there willing to be a part of the process, sometimes that can work against you. Because, I'm going to the table. If it was me, I'm going to the table with him, and I'm showing him exactly what Simmons did. I'm showing him exactly what all these other guys that got the money before him did. Match your stats up. Yeah, you're in the record book for tackles, but at the end of the day, how many of those tackles helped us in terms of wins? How many times did we actually get you to sack the quarterback and put the quarterback in a position where we got the ball back and was able to capitalize on it? That's what matters nowadays in this passing, in this passing era. You got to sack the quarterback. And no matter how many, no matter how many tackles you make down the line of scrimmage or how many tackles you make 2 yards up the field as a defensive tackle, that's big energy. Hoorah, smack the hand. But, dog, I need you in the backfield, putting the quarterback on his back, standing up over him, walking up over him, looking back at him, saying, I'll be right back here again, Pauls. You know what I'm saying? I'll be here again. I'll be right back. You know what I'm saying?
Did y'all see that Eagles preseason game? Okay, remember I was up here saying I would trade Christian Wilkins if I could get into that top 10 and take Jalen Carter. Did you see Jalen Carter, bro? Jalen Carter, that guy looks like he's buddy. That guy looks like he's going to be the most dominant. That guy looks like he's going to be a top 5 defensive interior guy at the freaking gate. Those are the guys you like. Here's where I'm at, BallGame.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
4 years, 80 to 90 million. I'm 80 to 85 better. And then 60 to 65 of that. So 15 or 16 per year guaranteed. That's where I'm at. I will give you 15 to 16 million guaranteed per year with incentives to get up around 20 million a year. But you got to hit, and you know what you do? Make those incentives pass rush incentives. Right?
Right. The thing about it, though, the thing about it is, too, when you think about it, Christian's actually undersized at the position going up against the guys that he's actually stacked up against. Jeffrey Simmons and those guys are humongous, bro. They're the elephant DT. Christian don't even really stack up as the rhino, bro. Like, real talk. Like Raekwon would be considered the elephant, to be honest with you. And even then, he's still small compared to Simmons. But it's the stacks. You got to get the sacks, bro. You know, and us paying you wanting 20+ million a year. That's us hoping that you get them. We got to go off of past productivity as well. That always is factored into contract negotiations. What have you done? What have you done before now? Okay, I'm gonna pay you this, but this is with the hope that you can get to this. Well, I feel like 17.5, 18 million is adequate for what he's done and what he could possibly be able to do. I just don't see him being undersized and having to go in there and battle with them because he hasn't done it. How many sacks does he have up to date compared to those guys? That's the thing. Right? Those guys have the proven record that they can push the pocket and get sacks. That's not something that Christian's been able to do. And hell, Christian just came into, like, how many times we talked about it though over the last couple of years that he's been here? Like, it was talking about he got to get into his man strength. He got to develop into his man body. And then he had one good season, right? Right? We'll be talking about it all over again. Now you want 20-some plus million? Nah, dog, that's not how that works. We need to see you do it consistently now that you're here. Now that people are talking about you and not doubting you and saying, okay, now you finally arrived. Give me this year. Then we'll negotiate in the offseason because I need to see it. I'm not going to pay you and then you go back to what you had done previously because, hell, Siler right on your ass. Like, let's call it ace and a spade. We want to keep him. God knows you want to keep him because he's homegrown at this point. You drafted him. You don't want to let him go. But Zach Siler is doing just about the same type of productivity, bro. You feel me? And Raekwon Raekwon is a proven fact too that in the run game, Raekwon was the biggest factor up front. You know what I'm saying?
when we lost him, that run game really dipped, That he was the biggest hurt. Yeah.
I'm not at all against getting their money, man, but we're gonna talk about. Go ahead.
Yesterday against the Browns and joint practice, Jalen Carter had 2 sacks, a tackle for a loss, a fumble recovery, a QB hit that led to a pass breakup. And do y'all know Joel Bitonio, the all-pro guard for the Browns?
All-pro guard.
But he pancaked them, bro. Pancaked them. Just put him right on. Even Fletcher Cox is sitting back going, this kid's just ridiculous to watch, bro. And I think Christian Wilkins is ridiculous to watch in certain areas, but he's just not complete yet. And what's crazy to me, BallGame, where this market was last year,
man.
But where this market was last year, you could have locked them up for 14-15 million a year total last year. And now we're, and oh man, like I want it to get done, but I'm not down for 22.5 million per year or anything like that, man. Like Daryl says, great show, gentlemen. I hope you three and everyone else inside the NFL Nation is having a good week. Can't wait for the regular season. Go ahead, BallGame.
22.5 million. Zach Siler's gone. You're not gonna be able to find really much to have left.
Zach Siler's gone anyways.
How much you gonna spend at the defense?
He's gone with this extension anyways, right? Yeah. I've heard Zach Siler wants top 15 money. Yeah. So he's gone.
He deserves it. I think he deserves it. That's a bring your lunch pail to work every day with your hard hat under your arm type of guy. That's what he does. I don't have a problem with him being a top 15 guy because I believe he does. He's right there behind Christian, really, when you think about effectiveness and efficiency and what they bring to the offense. I mean, to the defensive side of the ball. And they're both undersized in there. That might be the only thing hurting them right now against the top guys is the fact that those top guys are humongous. Those guys are actual monsters. You know what I'm saying? And they move.
And yet they move like they're 6'3", 290.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, inhuman, bro. Jalen Carter's gonna be so fun to watch. Any money he gets,
man, will be money enough for him to be able to not worry about. Yeah, that Eagles defense is gonna be nasty, bro.
Yeah, were you gonna say? You're gonna say any money Wilkins gets, he's gonna take care of a couple generations of.
Well,
I'm
saying the money, yeah, bro. Like, and I get it. Listen, I think across the board, right? I can understand the concept of wanting top money, right? But to look at it from a different vantage point and say to myself, I'm already making money that nobody in my family will ever see again, and I'm getting amply compensated for my efforts on the field. When's enough?
Yeah,
like 80 million, $85 million, 67, 68 million of it guaranteed. Now, Rich might disagree with me a little bit, but come on, bro, that's life changing. Like,
Oh, it's definitely
and
life
now
changing.
today, these guys are a lot smarter and a lot more savvy with their finances and stuff, and not making bad decisions. Come on, bro. Like, really?
Yeah, got to
If you're
cash
really
in, man.
about trying to do and trying to be a staple man for what the Dolphins are trying to build and be here for a while, bro, to really be a part of that, because they built it with you as a thought process, also as a stakeholder in this. Don't be greedy, man. So many other people gotta get paid too. Like, come on. But that's just my piece, man. I can't talk to the man about his money. I can only talk to him about the stats, and the stats say you're not top 5.
Yeah, that's
Why
true.
should I pay you as top 5?
Yeah, I agree with that. As much as we all like him, I agree with that. All right, here are let's give Richmond a flashback from today. Here are some of the highlights from today's joint practice. We got about 5 minutes worth of them. Okay, let's play Where in the World is Richmond Webb?
Right there.
There he is. There's Tua walking out. No cameras have been on the helmets lately, so that's good to go. There's Goldilocks, your boy, BallGame AVG.
Mike Rose.
Yeah,
and Mike Rose too.
Oh, that guy. That guy was awful, bro. I'm sorry, I was not a fan of him in that preseason game. I was more intrigued by the Aubrey Miller and Channing Tindall combo inside, to be honest with you. There he is. There's the Goldilocks for your ball game.
There he is. Yeah, I said when Mike was in the draft, I said he was raw, real raw.
Yeah, he's super raw.
That's probably why he.
Why isn't Richmond out here instead of the pylons?
That's the I'm on the offensive field. That's the offensive field.
I'm joking, bro. Yeah. I said, why aren't you out there instead of the pylons, bro? That means
Higgins.
I'll be a big pylon. I can do that. Yeah.
Tino X, Eli, Cater out there. I was out there today too. I think he's like the last one to go in this clip, if I remember correctly. Oh, there he is. Cater back out there. Man's a dog. That's why we weren't getting Dalvin. How's he going to get that number 4? Here's some one-on-ones. I think that was I got Austin Jackson one-on-ones. I was seen by that one. Hey, is Richmond out there at right tackle right now? What's going on? They don't want nothing to do with him. What happened? No, they're working inside. That's what happened, guys. I'm just teasing. They're working down the line. See? Oh, that's some push right there. Right into his kneecap. Like. Was this the Laramie Tunsil rep? I think this might be the Laramie Tunsil rep. Watch this with Chubb one hand. Look at that. One hand on Bradley Chubb. Bro. And here's Deshaun Hand getting by. And here's some CJ Stroud, our defense. Now, I think this is a sack. Let me know what you guys think. I think he's sacked right there. But then he takes off. Yeah, he's sacked. So he took off, but he was sacked. And he makes a throw to the back of the end zone here, though, on this play. On the move, there it is right there. Boom. Back of the end zone. I also got a couple Tua throws in here as well as that interception. Another back of the end zone toe tap. Take that walk of shame back. How dare you? And then that little Tua gun to Cedric. This is the pick. Remind me, Richmond, this ended practice, right? Yeah. This is the pick that ended practice?
Yep.
Now, when Tua talked about it,
Yeah.
he actually gave a different answer than he did with the Christian Harris one and moving him off his spot. He actually indicated there was a miscommunication with the receiver on this one. If you listen to what he said that this one had more to do with the receiver than it did with manipulating with his eyes on this one. So, I mean, he didn't get more into specific. What were you going to say, BallGame? You're going to say something, sir?
No, I was just going to say Petrie basically, he was hoping that the receiver could influence Petrie a little bit more out of the window, but that didn't happen. And then he just stayed
just jumped
put and jumped it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's get into the recaps, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Guys, smash that like button, subscribe if you are new. That's the only way we can get Richmond a PS5 and a copy of Madden 24. All right. So let's go. Fund his trip to Houston tomorrow. Buy him a coffee. All right, I'm joking. All right, let's go. All right. So from the Miami Herald, this is what went down on their report today. During day one of the Dolphins joint practices with the Houston Texans on Wednesday, there was a fair share of former teammates with whom quarterback Tua Tagovailoa shared the field with in college. And one of those notable plays of the morning session included one of Tagovailoa's Crimson Tide brethren getting the best of him. During 11-11 drills, linebacker Christian Harris intercepted Tagovailoa for likely pick 6, one of 2 picks for the fourth-year quarterback. Richmond, we're both in the red zone drills. This one was driving down. The last one was driving down, right? You had a certain amount of time.
The last one was 2 minutes. Yeah. 2 minutes.
Yeah. I think it's what I've done best is looking guys off and no looking throws into holes like that. He said, I talked to Christian Harrison, buddy, Alabama, and he told me, dude, you did that so much to us last year that I was like, just trust my drop in this area. And he was like, I'm not falling for it. That's basically what happened. So it's a good play for him. And that too, the mind game of it. It's like, wow, I never thought that you'd figure that out, that piece of the game out. Kudos to him. Tagovailoa's comments stand out because at his best during the 2022 season, he was adept at misdirecting 7 second-level defenders with his eyes and finding open throwing lanes to his wide receivers. But it appeared that later on in the season, as Miami's offense began to struggle, opposing defenses caught on to it more and weren't as moved by the eye deception. It was an otherwise productive morning practice for Tagovailoa, who during a continuous 11-11 drive led the offense into the red zone with completions to tight end Durham Smythe and Tyreek Hill, and then Eric Izakama. He also found Hill, Izakama, River Craycraft, and Raheem Mostert for short red zone touchdowns. So he had 4 red zone touchdowns. Practice wrapped up with a 2-minute drill. The Dolphins offense was the last to go after the defense. It had the makings of a prosperous possession on the first play from Miami's 25-yard line. Tagovailoa scanned his options and then so he went through his progressions? Is that what you're saying? He scanned his options? He read the defense? No shit. And then connected with Smythe, who ran a seam route and had room to run for a gain of 37 yards. He then connected with Hill on a crossing route for a gain of 16 yards to get to the edge of the red zone. But 2 plays later, while targeting Robbie Chosen on a slant route, safety Jaelan Petrie jumped the route for a long pick 6 along a raucous it's a raucous Texas sideline. I thought it was gonna be a ruckus. Raucous Texas sideline to end the practice. Man, I wish I could have that one back. That one, see, I was trying to maneuver someone and it didn't work out with one of the receivers, and that was the only place to ditch the ball. I probably should have sailed it to the ground, but it's a good play. So right there, I probably should have ditched the ball. What does that tell you, Richmond, in BallGame? What would he have done in a real game situation? Ditched the ball. That's what he's telling you he would have done. So here are some more observations. The Dolphins defense got its first look at CJ Stroud. After struggles in his preseason debut, he had some troubles against Miami, particularly with its pass rush. Jaelan Phillips often beat George Fant with his speed and power, getting in at least 2 would-be sacks and also flushed Stroud out of the pocket and none of the rush. So there you go. George Fant was one of the last remaining. I know everyone wants Dalton Reisner, but it ain't happening. George Fant was one of the last remaining guys that we could have added, and he's getting worked by Jaelan Phillips. Stroud did have some opportunities deep, but overthrew a pair of receivers downfield. AVG ball game seems to be getting increasingly comfortable cross-training at inside linebacker. He recorded an interception of Davis Mills in which he leaped to undercut a pass and came away with the ball. Has he got hands? He also had a leaping pass breakup in space.
Yes,
look at this guy, ball hawk. The Texans offense didn't have much success pushing the ball downfield, but Dalton Schultz, the new addition from the Cowboys, was able to separate from finding linebackers and safeties for multiple receptions of sizable gains. Eric Rowe, who for multiple years in Miami defended tight ends, is now with the Panthers, so the Dolphins have an opening for the role. Houston's offense also had some success against Miami's defense in short red zone drills. Tank Dell, the new rookie receiver in Houston, a shifty pass catcher, got free for at least 2 scores during the session. Damian Pierce, returning, also found a crease for a 5-yard touchdown run. Skylar Thompson found wide receiver Braxton Berrios for a wide-open touchdown of about 60 yards during 11-11 drills. Berrios was so far by himself, he had to slow down for the long pass. It's a good sign for Thompson, who will likely get the first crack at snaps ahead of Mike White during Saturday's preseason game. The following players did not participate: Alec Ingold, Myles Gaskin, Jalen Waddle, Braylon Sanders, Liam Eichenberg. There you go, Richmond. He did not participate
That's
today.
why I didn't see him. Okay.
Yep. Jalen Ramsey, Justin Bethel, and Ethan Bonner, and Brandon Jones. Cornerback Caterco, who did participate in team drills on Monday because of what coach he didn't. He participated in individual drills, but not team drills because he has an injury. Cam Smith wore a red non-contact jersey, and Christian Wilkins continued to sit out team drills, and it was confirmed that he is holding in. Baby on board.
There she go.
There she go.
There she go. Paw. You paw.
Okay, so I want to get your thoughts, Richmond.
Okay.
Overall, what would you say Tua's day was like? What you were there out of 10? What are you giving him? What would you rate Tua's day today? 4 red zone scores, 2 interceptions. What were your thoughts today?
Yeah, I thought overall it was a pretty good practice, and I'm good with what he did. I mean, I guess you say some people probably say maybe a 7 or 8, but overall as an offense, I thought we did some things. I think this is the time if you're gonna try to do some things. This is when you work on. That's when you work on it in practice. So, I think some people are overreacting. I think you put too much weight on it. If this was a consistent problem week in, week out, every practice, this and that, that's when I would be concerned. But I'm not concerned. And people saying this, but people also should realize what it looked like when Tua played last year versus what it looked like when Tua didn't play last year. So, like I say, sometimes you just got to read the stuff, this and that, and then sometimes you don't always have to comment. You can just read it. I know sometimes you want to just say something back, but sometimes it's best to just don't even come and just scroll by that, because when you know better, you just because I see some stuff and I just scroll by and say, man, I'm not going to even engage in that because it doesn't make sense. And that person or most people, when they take that strong of a stance, they're really not trying to say, okay, I really see your point or whatever. It's just like clickbait just to kind of keep working you this and that. And I'm like, I don't have time for that. So if that's truly the way you feel, go ahead and handle your business. But I'm going to keep scrolling, and then I find somebody I can really have a conversation about it. If I'm trying to understand or trying to help somebody understand, that's different. But if you're so set in your thought process, it's nothing we can really talk about, because I'm going to eventually just say, okay, bro, yeah, you do you, I'm going to do me.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get into the next recap from the Sun Sentinel. Tua throws 2 interceptions. Jaelan Phillips shines again, plus stock up, stock down, and that's where we'll be getting the ball game here in a minute. Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa tossed a pair of interceptions that would have been returned for touchdowns, while the defense, led by another standout performance from edge rusher Jaelan Phillips, was solid in the first of 2 joint practices with the Texans in Houston on Wednesday. Tagovailoa's second pick 6 was thrown in a simulation of a 2-minute drill. He quickly drove the offense to the red zone, but a slant to wide receiver Robbie Chosen was cut off by Jalen Petrie, who had the open field in front of him for an 85-yard return. Earlier in team drills on another field, Tagovailoa was throwing short left, and linebacker Christian Harris intercepted it for a shorter touchdown return in Dolphins territory. Those negative plays aren't what define the practices for the players, however, with the outlook more honed in on the process than the outcome. I liked Wednesday's practice, said Taron Armstead. We've been having some challenges, some struggles, more so the timing and the vibe of the offense, trying to run the operation and make it run like a machine. We haven't been able to do that the way we have been grown accustomed to doing it, where we're rolling. Today felt normal. It felt normal. Still had some hiccups, of course, but from an operation standpoint, it felt like a real offense. Tagovailoa, who threw 3 interceptions in Sunday's inter-squad practice and 1 in each of the 2 joint practices with the Atlanta Falcons, added there's some experimentation going on for the Miami Dolphins offense road training camp. We're trying to put more stress on our guys on the back end with our motions and understanding what we're trying to do play-wise, he said. There's a lot of things that we got going on this year that Coach Mike McDaniel has wanted to try for our guys and try to see who does what the best and try to go from there. Defensively, the Dolphins held strong against the Texans offense. Phillips continues to have standout practice after standout practice as a prime candidate to break out his 3rd NFL season. He had 2 sacks and other pressures on the quarterbacks. Andrew Van Ginkel had a pick and 2 other pass breakups. And the day could have looked different for the Dolphins defense, though, if Houston quarterback C.J. Stroud was able to connect with a couple receivers that had a step on defenders deep. Tagovailoa's second pick 6 came after it seemed like the Miami's offense was rolling in the 2-minute drill. Tagovailoa had a fine red zone portion of practice. He connected with River Craycraft for a touchdown in the corner of the end zone against cornerback Taveri Thomas. Hill, Raheem Mostert, and Braxton Berrios also had red zone touchdowns. Thompson found Berrios wide open for a deep touchdown over the middle for 60-plus yards. Aside from Phillips, Bradley Chubb, Raekwon Davis, Jerome Baker were among Dolphins with sacks today. Zach Sealer batted a ball at the line of scrimmage. Dalton Schultz gave the Dolphins trouble. Elijah Campbell got reps against the tight ends, giving up 1 long completion to Schultz. Kader Kohu, he broke up a pass in a late 2-minute drill. Xavier Howard had a pass interference called against him. In one-on-ones between the offensive and defensive lines, Lester Cotton, who was surging as a candidate for the Dolphins left guard spot, looks unmovable, winning 3 reps. Fellow guards Robert Hunt and Robert Jones were also seen with wins. Austin Jackson held firm in his first shot at Will Anderson. Anderson did get him with speed at times, though, in team drills. The Miami offense was run heavy early in team drills with some runs for various backs squirting through and others bottled up. Mike White had a connection over the middle with Chosen for about 20 yards that came among the work on the ground. The Dolphins went back to not having the orange jersey for previous practice player of the day at Wednesday's drills. McDaniel said last week he didn't want to put a target on a player's back. Among sightings at Wednesday's practice in Houston were former Dolphins greats Mark Clayton and Richmond Webb. University of Miami and Texas great Andre Johnson and Roger Clemens, a Texas native, were also there. Clemens had a picture and jersey exchange with Hill and also had a moment to meet Tagovailoa after practice. And then we know about the injury report. Jalen Waddle being held out. Stock up. Andrew Van Ginkel was around the ball constantly in pass defense, intercepting Texans quarterback Davis Mills and picking up the other 2 pass breakups. Van Ginkel could end up being a versatile rotation piece in the Dolphins linebacking corps, capable of playing inside and outside in Vic Fangio's defense. That dude will ball no matter where he's at on the field, said Xavier Howard. And stock down. Connor Williams had a one-on-one rep where he was easily pushed back by Houston defensive tackle, which would have had the pocket collapse completely if there was a quarterback he was protecting. As if to compensate, Williams then threw the defender to the ground. Remember the one where I said there goes to his kneecaps? That was the drill they're talking about. So, ball game. Stock up. Andrew Van Ginkel standing out today. 2 pass breakups and an interception. How smooth And quickly, are you expecting this transition to the interior linebacker role? How smooth are you expecting it to be, and how long are you expecting it to take till he gets comfortable? Do you think it's going to take a season full of reps under his belt?
Nah, I don't think it's going to take that long. I mean, he's really a smart guy. So, and athletically, he's probably one of the most athletic linebackers we have. Size wise, he's prototypical in that regard. So, I think it's just a matter of being in the right space with the right coach now at this point, because this defense doesn't afford them an opportunity. Well, it doesn't afford them. They don't have to do as much thinking. They get to react. They get to naturally just go with their instincts, and that fits right into his wheelhouse. We talked about, I'm a big ABG fan. So for me, I think they can play. He can play anywhere in the front seven, with the exception, except for the two interior spots. But given an opportunity, he's a little undersized, but he's quick, he's nifty, and he's really gritty. So them having him put into the middle, that's just going to enhance the toughness of this defense, because I think sideline to sideline, he can get there with the best of them. And I don't think it's going to take too long. It's just a matter of who Vic chooses to go with and the opportunities. Throw him out there and let him figure it out, and I believe he'll do it. So.
Yep. Shout out to Dean Han for becoming a member of the channel. Appreciate you, sir. Let's keep it rolling. We've got Elaine Poupar covering the offense.
I don't like Omar. Can I say one thing?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't like dudes saying stock down because of one-on-ones. That's kind of lame to me, but that's his opinion. So I'll leave that alone. I hate one-on-ones.
Well, remember, Omar Kelly had stock down. Omar Kelly had stock down for Cam Smith a couple weeks ago because he was getting pass breakups, not interceptions. Anyways, we're going to get into Elaine Poupar, his observations of the offense, Omar Kelly's observation of the defense, and then their own stock up, stock down report. So let's start off with the offense here, highlights, lowlights, and observations. While it was hot in Houston on Wednesday morning, the weather didn't feel quite as bad as we usually encounter at the Baptist Health Training Complex. Can you confirm, Richmond? Hotter in Miami or hotter in Houston? You're muted.
It was a good day in Houston. Normally it's hotter and a little humid, more humid, but they actually called us on a good day down here. It wasn't too bad today. So
good. Yeah. Before the series of team reps, which including work in the red zone and 2-minute drills, was a session of one-on-one battles between O-line versus D-line. And the big winner in that period was guard Lester Cotton, again, who's vying to win the left guard starting job. Cotton won all 3 of his reps and easily. The Dolphins overall did very well in that drill, including clear wins by Robert Hunt, Robert Jones, Austin Jackson, holding firm against Will Anderson. Connor Williams did have a very interesting rep where he was pushed backward very quickly before dragging the defender to the ground. Probably would have been a penalty. So the offense probably was sharper overall than it has been in the past several days, though it's difficult to overlook the fact that 2 biggest plays in that battle were produced by the Houston defense, specifically pick 6s against Tua Tagovailoa. Tagovailoa was asked about the interceptions after practice and tipped his hat to Harris for the first interception. The biggest play on offense was a long completion from Skylar Thompson to Braxton Berrios for about 50 yards and a touchdown. Berrios was back in teamwork for the first time since suffering a cut on his forehead in the preseason opener against the Falcons. That was 1 of 4 touchdown passes for Tua in red zone work. The others to Raheem Mostert, Craycraft, and Hill. Prior to the second pick, Tua had his best completion of the day when he hit tight end Durham Smythe down the middle for about 40 yards after Houston appeared to take away his first options on the play. Oh no, he read the defense. Oh no. It was part of a big day for Smythe, who might have had as many catches on the day as he had in all of the previous practices combined. Terran Armstead did some work in team drills and said after practice, the time had come for him to ramp up his work, and the pass protection was a bit spotty in practice, starting with Tua being flushed out in a hurry the first time he attempted a pass in 11-11 work. Mike White had a nifty completion downfield to Robbie Chosen on his first 11-11 series, and Tua followed that with a nice completion to Tyreek Hill down the left sideline, which looked good for about 20 yards. The highlight of Thompson's first series was completion to Cedric Wilson on a rollout on the series that featured Thompson's long pass to Berrios. He had completions to Chosen and Hill, though each receiver bobbled the ball before securing it. Eric Igbinoghene was active in the second half of practice with several catches in the red zone or regular 11-11 work. One of those completions came after Tua had to dig up a low shotgun snap from Williams. Man, we've been getting bad reports about Connor Williams in camp right now. He's been off, but overall, Richmond, other than those interceptions, it seemed like a really good day for the offense. And I wanted to get your thoughts. Did any tight end stand out to you? Like, was even Durham Smythe noticeable to you today? Because we've got Julian Hill, we've got Elijah Higgins, who was the only one who made noise in the preseason game, Eric Saubert, and we always talk about how weak this tight end room is. Did any of the tight ends stand out to you at all today?
I remember seeing a couple catch passes, but I didn't zone in on the numbers to see who actually was. It seemed like on a lot of the passes they were either hitting the receivers or running backs, and the running back made some good catches and was able to get yards after the catch and all that. So that's what I remember more than the tight end. So,
and did Thompson have more? It sounds like Thompson had more opportunities than Mike White today. Was that true?
It seemed like I saw him in there a little bit more, and he's probably going, like you say, start this game because White started the last one. He'll get an opportunity to play.
Yeah,
started out or whatever. So yeah, I did see that.
Okay, cool. All right, let's move over to the defensive side and what Omar Kelly saw from his defensive observations. It appears that the Miami Dolphins are experimenting with defensive packages against the Houston Texans, looking to fine-tune what the team potentially could use as a base defense. Two starting spots, strong safety and boundary cornerback, have yet to be settled, and it appears that defensive coordinator Vic Fangio is experimenting with a three defensive lineman front, with Christian Wilkins absent from practices beginning his second week of a hold-in. Deshaun Hand, who was signed last week, is being thrown in the deep end of the pool in week 2, working as an edge setter on a line that did well against the Texans' first-team offensive line, which featured Larry Tunsil as a pillar of granite at left tackle. Miami continues to experiment with the safety paired with Javon Holland. He found it interesting that Trill Williams wasn't taking any work with the base defense. However, Williams was working out on most of Miami's special teams unit, which was a good sign. Brandon Jones sat out his third straight day of practice, which indicates he potentially suffered a setback on the rehab of the knee he injured and had surgically repaired last October. That leaves Deshaun Elliott competing with Elijah Campbell to be Holland's tag partner unless someone else enters the competition in the final 2 weeks of camp. Here's what happened on defense. CJ Stroud was under consistent pressure when he was going against the first-team defense. He had his greatest success in the passing game while targeting tight ends, which caught his attention because this was the first time all training camp that Omar had noticed Miami's linebackers and safeties struggling to cover tight ends. Dalton Schultz, one of Houston's top free agent acquisitions, scored a touchdown during red zone work on a play where Ogba pressured the pocket. Zach Steeler shined against the run early during the first 11-11 period. He also had a pass breakup at the line of scrimmage. Raekwon Davis performed a sack of Stroud, the Texans' first-round pick. Texans starting tailback Dameon Pierce had a nice run up the gut of Miami's second-team defense. Duke Riley was in on the stop. Devin Singletary produced a nice right side run that David Long had a stop on near the first down marker. Jaelan Phillips worked Texans starting right tackle George Fant all practice, recording at least 2 sacks and 2 pressures during 11-11 periods. His presence was felt in Houston's backfield all practice, which reinforces that it's a quiet start to camp has more to do with had more to do with Austin Jackson's emergence than Phillips' regression. Andrew Van Ginkel thrives in his new role. Andrew Van Ginkel rivaled Phillips for the day's top performer honors on defense. The versatile linebacker, who was mostly working on the inside during Wednesday's practice, pulled down the pick and had the pass breakups. You're looking good in coverage. So one of the biggest concerns Omar had watching the defense was how many completions the Texans made on the left side of the field, attacking Noah Igbinoghene's zone. Robert Woods had the most productive day out of all of Houston's receivers, and it appeared he was just attacking open zones on option routes. He's not saying Igbinoghene was getting beat because it was all in zone, Obviously, most teams are going to stay away from Howard, and that seemed to be the case Wednesday, with the exception of one pass interference called Howard Drew. Elijah Campbell had a pass deflection on a throw from Stroud, and Riley and Jerome Baker each produced a sack on linebacker blitzes during the second 11-11 period. So let's talk about your boy Noah here, ball game, because I've said, hey, I'll happily pay you all that money, a couple $100 to be wrong. I got no problem being wrong, so we don't waste a first-round draft pick. He's looked really strong. This is really the first of anything that we've, since maybe early on in OTAs and maybe early on in camp, where he wasn't making a little noise and he was letting up some. Over the last 2 weeks, he's been really strong. He's had 3 interceptions over the last 10 or 11 days, I think it is. And this is something that I was highlighting to people, a ball game. I think we're going to find out real quick in this season early on where Noah's at, because like was said there, their teams aren't just going to sit there and continuously target Xavier Howard. They are going to look at Noah early on until he proves otherwise.
Yep.
What have your thoughts been on Noah over the past week, and then seeing that Robert Woods is a veteran who's been around the block. He's a guy who knows he's got to open. He's a guy who knows how to get open in the NFL. What are your thoughts and what are your expectations for Noah Igbinoghene so far, after seeing he had a good week, but then seeing it was kind of a little bit more of a reality check potentially today for him?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that the position in itself is going to unfortunately have opportunities where guys are going to make plays and they're going to be catches, right? If it's the match zone or if it's straight zone, guys are going to find spots in the zone where they can sit down and, unfortunately they can make catches. You can't stop them all. But, I think the biggest thing is it's not getting beat at this point. As long as you keep everything in front of you, you can always make a play on it. And it seems like he's no longer holding on to previous plays. He's going back out, wiping the slate, and then going up the next play. You expect that anyway, though, because of the fact that, like you said, nobody gonna throw an X, right? And if Jaelan was there, then they'd really be trying to find the next weakest link. And I'm obviously any smart coordinator who's worth the salt would target a guy who has consistently not been an All-Pro, right? So I think this is a golden opportunity for Noah to just take the reps and put his big boy pants on and see if he can really feel them. I think there's a maturity factor that goes into this thing, and I think he's already matured a lot, right? He's keeping his head down. He's not making a whole lot of noise, other than just doing what's asked of him, and I believe that can be consistent enough, too. Cornerbacks give up passes. As long as you're not giving up touchdowns, you're not out like a Trayvon Diggs where, you got 10 picks, but you gave up the most freaking yardage in NFL history for a corner. I think that's par for the course, especially considering where he's came from, to having sit behind Jones and Howard for 2 years almost, and then only coming in on spot duty when one of them was hurt, and then the fan base roasted him. But, it is what it is. You expect the guy to play when he was a first-round pick. I just know that position takes a little bit more savviness to it. It takes a lot of time. If you ain't getting consistent reps at it, you can't get good at being a corner unless you're thrown into the fire. So Vic's giving him an opportunity to prove himself. I don't have an issue with it. It's unfortunate that, as soon as Ramsey is ready to go, he's going to be relegated back to the bench again. But, earn your money, young man, and just go out and prove that you can at least play in the NFL. That's all I ask now at this point. Just, I've been riding with you, so keep me in a position where I don't have to have that egg on my face. You know what I'm saying? That's all I ask.
And even that reception he allowed against the Falcons, it was good coverage. It was nice and tight. So let's
good coverage. Yeah.
Let's get into the final thing here before we get into final thoughts here. So the top performers of the day for SI and the stock down top performers, they had Durham Smythe. They said the tight ends of the Dolphins have been awfully high throughout training camp. And Smythe, he had a strong performance today with that 38-yard reception in the 2-minute drill. It was one of the 4 catches of the day for Smythe. Van Ginkel made the top performers. They talked about, obviously, his interception, the pass breakup. He broke up 2 passes, and one of them prevented a touchdown. So he had a really good day. And they even say here, his performance Wednesday hints that he's inside linebacker number 4, which could put Channing Tindall, the 3rd-round pick, in jeopardy of not making the 53-man roster if he doesn't nail down a prominent special teams role. Jaelan Phillips' performance Wednesday might cost George Fant his roster spot because the replacement for the injured Titus Howard, the Texans starting right tackle, had his lunch money taken by Phillips. So, and we're used to this. Phillips just every day is putting in the work, man. Remember, he had 2 sacks per day against the Falcons last week as well. He had 4 sacks in 2 days. So, did it again today. Braxton Berrios made a lot of noise today. Yeah, exactly. The 50-yard touchdown pass from Skyler was underthrown, but Berrios had 5 catches on the day, including a touchdown from Tua in the red zone. So Berrios keeping that wide receiver 2 battle nice and interesting. And then stock down, gentlemen. They got Emmanuel Ogbah. Christian Wilkins Holden provides Miami's coaches the ideal opportunity to test out Ogbah as a defensive lineman in Fangio's scheme, but there seems to be little interest in seeing the 7-year veteran put his hand in the dirt. The Dolphins seem adamant about having Ogbah practice as a standout outside linebacker, and his lack of quickness has led to a quiet training camp. He was in the Texans' backfield for one noticeable play, despite lining up against a lackluster offensive line all day. At this point, Ogbah is a $15 million backup. And then Connor Williams, while Liam Eichenberg has taken his share of criticism with his training camp, Williams has had some rough outings as well. On this day, there was spotty work in one-on-one pass blocking drills and low shotgun snap that disrupted the timing of a pass play, and Tungalo's first attempt being disrupted by immediate pressure right up the middle. Williams skipped the offseason program because he wants a new contract, but his performance in camp, frankly, has not helped his cause. So you don't like hearing that, gentlemen. Not good stuff. But anyways, we got over 420 of you in the room. Let's get into some final thoughts here before we get out of here. Richmond, the floor is your final thoughts from today's practice, which you attended, and as you look forward to tomorrow's practice, which you'll also attend.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I thought it was a good practice. You know, you take away the 2 pick sixes. That seemed like what the media focused on, this and that. And, of course, you don't want to get in the habit of doing that. But I guess my biggest takeaway was after practice, I actually got to meet, I said hello to Devon A-Chain, but I got to talk to Robert Hunt. And I met him previously when I went down for the Browns game. It was right before the game. So I got to talk to him a little bit, and I just told him, I said, man, I really like the team energy. I like the way y'all practice, this and that. And I said, what I really like about y'all is the attitude. Y'all not scared to say certain things. And what I'm talking about that is, you've heard from several different players, their expectation is a Super Bowl. And when I said that, he said, yeah, but we got work to do. You know, we're not where we want to be, this and that. And from one player to another one, I like hearing that because that means they're not complacent. They're like, yeah, this is what our expectation is, but we know we can continue to get better. We're not where we need to be. So we're not just sitting back Kool-Aid and saying, oh, it's going to come to us, this and that. So when you talk to, you get an opportunity to talk to someone, because, I that really impressed me. So that made, when I heard a young man say, he said, no. We said, we still working, but we're not where we want to be. So it lets me know that, hey, they have the right attitude to say, okay, yeah, we got a good team, but we can be better. It's just like you just said with Phillips, 2 sacks a day, this and that. A lot of guys said, well, I got 2 sacks yesterday. I'm going to chill out today, this and that. Every day he working to get better and better and better. And that stuff is contagious. And I think that's why we're going to have a really good football team. Main thing we're going to do is just stay healthy. So I'll be back out there again. I don't get to see the Dolphins practice or something. So they come this close. I'm taking advantage of it all. So I'll be right back out there tomorrow morning. So that's my take.
Still over 415 of you in the room. Smash that like button, subscribe for new ball game. Final thoughts.
Yeah. Well, we knew that once Phillips' man strength sets in, he was going to be a problem. But I like to say, give an attaboy to Austin Jackson, because it sounds like Austin Jackson is faring quite well against that matchup. Whereas then George Fant, who's a 7-year vet, we got his butt whooped, and that says a lot. So that sounds like Austin is also, in addition to the other guys he talked about, trending upward, because if he's able to stave off Phillips and keep Phillips from being able to be successful like he want to be, then that bodes well to his protection throughout the season. You always want to hear those type of things. I think when it comes down to it, the Texans know that this is just what you would consider. I would consider, if I was there on their staff, quality work against a more superior team. Like when you look at the rosters and you look at the players, they know without a shadow of a doubt that our team's probably markedly better than theirs. But in the same sense, right, our guys are showing up and putting in the hard work and ensuring that they go out to get better every day, and that's what you want at this stage. I think what we'll see over the next couple of weeks, though, is Mike probably going ahead and going deep dive into more of his second year installs, and that's when things are going to really get interesting. I think right now it's real still vanilla, but it's just a matter of comfortability, because when he rotating guys through and you got all these different units of wide receivers and everybody running different routes, and they're not just waddling hill with Tua, and he's throwing to all of them, that's making the entire offense more fluid and more comfortable with everyone, regardless of who's out there running the routes. Everybody understands that your timing needs to be for this, that, and the other, and that just makes everybody that much better. So I'm a big fan of these joint practices. I like for guys to get fired up. I hate one-on-ones, never have, never will. Love those because I don't think they really matter when you're playing a team sport. But, sometimes it's good for guys to show off a little bit here and there. But it's the 11-on-11 work that really people watch on Sunday, so it is what it is there. I'm happy to hear that the guys, this defense is stifling, right? It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do, making Stroud hold the ball a little longer, which is getting the pass rush there, which means that those things should translate over at some point throughout the season to more sacks off the edge for Chubb and Phillips as well, which is what we want. Sacks is what we need, especially in this passing offense era, and I believe that Fangio going to be able to provide that. His craftiness on the back end is going to confuse a lot of guys. There aren't many 15, 16-year vets that we're going to have to face, and a lot of these young quarterbacks like to rip it early, but if they got to hold it a little longer, I believe this Dolphins pass rush and that front seven going to make them pay for it. So it's a good thing. I'm just looking forward to hearing about how bad they beat them up tomorrow, but I expect them to beat them up worse than they did today. So.
All right, guys, I'm going to be back tomorrow. I'm going to be back at 5 p.m. with Neil Driscoll for Fin Too Deep, and then I'll be back on Friday at 5 p.m. with former NFL quarterback JT O'Sullivan, who runs the quarterback school. We're going to be talking about Tua. We're going to be talking about Skylar Thompson. We're going to be talking about Mike White, the whole quarterback room. You're not going to want to miss that show. And then obviously we'll be live Saturday for the preseason game in Houston, Dolphins and Texans, so don't miss it. So until tomorrow, you already know what time it is. Fins up all day, every day, and we will see all y'all on the next one. Take it easy, guys and gals.